Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this video that went viral of a TV program, a British TV program, where they were discussing colonization and the benefits. BC was going to complete.
Yes, I wanted to, finish, land my point. So, I've heard a lot of people say that they wish the colonial masters stayed longer with us, like they did for South Africa. If not, that we would have been better developed now. And I beg to differ, because it's not just about infrastructure in a country or the perceived economic development of the country. What about the people in the country? What about the mindset of the people? The typical South African has a very low mindset because of what apartheid had done to them. And I don't think they're even taking steps into resolving the negatives of apartheid in the mindset of the typical South African. The typical South African sees every other African country, especially Nigeria, as their enemy instead of my brother, even while we went in to support them and all of that. And the way they handle, the way they carry on, the way they handle their things, if you fly across that place, you always have issues with your luggages and everything. So it's not about, okay, they have beautiful places. Nigeria also has beautiful places. The only thing we need now is that we need our leaders to be intentional about the vision that they have for Nigeria to take us forward. So South Africans are not better off than we are, even when they seem to have better infrastructure or better economy right now. But we are still in a process where we are getting there. We are more confident. We believe in our country more than they will ever do until they start working towards getting to where they are supposed to get to. And the final points.
Okay, I'll have a call holding.
Okay.
Let me take them. Elder David, thanks for calling. You're live. Go ahead, please. Good morning, David. Elder David.
Thank you, ma. God will bless you, all of you there.
Amen.
You are talking of history. I will like some of your topic. Progress of on the earth. You are very correct. Go back. The woman that discovered River Niger and the woman that stopped the killing
in
the old Eastern region. And you must remember that our old king of our MARIAM, King Jaja Fopobo, the British came to them and told them they want people to go and work in America.
Yes.
During the time of Columbus. And let me tell you, who colonized American as well. I'm talking of history. I still like it. And they thought it's a progress for them. The people were so powerful at that time. And all the people they gave the British to work in the farm in America, that is their sugarcane and others. Yes, we know how they were treated in Badagry. Then they changed them both their men and their women.
Yes.
And when of our MARIAM, resisted when they were to do their own festival in Benin Kingdom. Yes, a major festival. Nobody entered there. And they want to force themselves. We know what happened. When it was banished to Calabar, it's now a history.
Right.
So whatever happened, it's a progress. Because the people colonize us. Well, they have done well for us. Because if they have not been there, well, it may be the freedom we have, they will not have it. But only for it to actually be in a negative way. America itself was colonized. The Americans you are seeing today, most of the that pop and all that, they all come from Europe. Christopher Columbus was the one discovered them to teach something. They are all immigrants in America.
Thank you very much, Elder David. Thank you very much, Elder David. It's important to remind our viewers that the show is about your view, right? So we have different views and perspectives. People are coming from their own experiences, what they've read, what they've been told, or what they've perceived. So it's not all have to be perfectly factual. Just letting you know, because people say that history has been distorted. It's a viewpoint. So that's why you can open. We have the phone lines open. Call in and share your own view on the conversation. Let me read this comment before I come to you, Tokwe. This is from Carol. It says, why colonists committed barbaric acts? What about those who sold their own kinsmen to them? It's also important to recognize that it wasn't only British that were involved in colonialism and slave trade. The Arabs played a significant role in these atrocities as well. Moreover, if we're going to hold the colonists accountable, can we also say our current leaders are doing any better? The Arabs started the colonialism in Africa and so on. The British colonized India, Singapore, and other countries that are doing much better for themselves. So that's another viewpoint.
So I think that it's very important to call a spade a spade. And criminality is criminality.
Yeah.
Colonialism was a criminal act on everyone who was colonized. It was taking advantage of people, and it was a wrong thing to do. Our leaders are not being exempted from the mismanagement of the resources that they have mismanaged in the past, which we are feeling the impact now. So also are those that were involved in the slave trade business from our side, who participated with the whites to enslave their own people. Criminality is criminality. That is the one, that's what we are emphasizing, that we don't whitewash what is bad and relabel it as, oh, when we came there, we gave them sanitation. When we came there, we gave them, they did not have education, we gave them electricity, we gave them a car. They didn't have means of transportation. That is whitewashing the criminal activities that was carried out by colonialists in the countries they were colonizing. Exploitation that took place, what we lost, beyond the gold, the resources, the physical, tangible thing we lost what is bigger. We lost sense of identity.
Absolutely.
We lost sense of identity, and we have not found it back.
Yep.
The average African and average colonized person still feels like there is something better. They have something better.
Superior.
We don't know as much as they know, because we were not allowed to self-develop and self-actualize.
Perfect.
Going through that process accordingly, the mindset was truncated. We were made to believe the way we speak was wrong, the way we think was wrong. When you tell somebody over and over again for generations that the way they think was wrong, how would they know how to think? They question themselves. They are not creative. And yet the seeds are there. So for me, it is important we highlight how much damage has been done. I sometimes don't like the way we've now had these juntas that are happening around West Africa, where people military take over, and then they say, we are reversing the language, we are reversing this. But a part of me is happy that take it back, because till now, many African countries are still subjugated by colonialists.
We're coming to that, because that's what I was going to take us to. Let me take Abdul. Thanks, Abdul, for calling. You're live. I'm sorry, I lost that call. Mariam, let me
yes, I want to answer this with an analogy, especially to the women on that show. Imagine a person who lives in, let's say, fairly wealthy home, and then he sees a little girl walking about in her home. Maybe they're living in a shelter or something, and he kidnaps that child and takes that child to his home and rapes her over the years. But while he's raping her, he's teaching her the alphabet. He's giving her education. He's giving her a bedroom that she can lie on. She didn't have a proper bedroom in her own place. He's groomed her until she's about 17, 18, and then she's found. And then he says, well, I educated her. If not for the rape, if not for kidnapping her and raping her, she wouldn't have been educated. She would not have learned to walk, or she would not have learned to speak. But we know that if she was where she was, she would have learned to do all those things eventually anyway, because that is how human beings are. So everybody, societies, communities, continents would have evolved anyway at their own pace. So what I see colonialism is that someone coming in, kidnapping people, raping them of their resources, brainwashing them, and saying that if not for the exploitation, you wouldn't have grown anyway. So that is it. That's just simple. And if the white person at this age, you know, it was sad to see that these were women of a certain age, you know, that you would expect, especially of a certain age, of a certain platform that you'd expect because of their years in journalism and talking to different people and understanding the impact of colonialism on human beings, on racism, on, you know, the fact that it has caused racism over time, that you would expect something a bit more educated or enlightened. That was really sad to hear them speak. But also it teaches us that they also have been brainwashed by their stories. That the only way that they've told their people so that their people feel less guilty, and that's why they will celebrate some of these things. You know, America enslaved, I don't want to call them Native Americans, and then they celebrate Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, it was when they had gone into these people's communities and have slaughtered these people. So they are telling their own different story. Now, for us, what was sad is, I remember in secondary school, I learned about Mongo Park. I learned about Christopher Columbus. Those were things I learned about, how they brought us salt and mirrors, and my ancestors were dancing because they did not know, they had never seen salt and mirrors. It took many years. I mean, it took my full adult years sitting at this table to realize how brainwashed I've become. I read Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, and I was shocked. Like, it was like the scales finally fell off my eyes, because I really thought for a long time that we were to blame for where we were. I did not see how, if someone were to put you and brainwash you over and over and over again, I didn't see the impact of that, how that is transgenerational. Now I know, and therefore I see colonization as nothing but exploitation, and that was what it was meant to be. Whatever benefits that they had, there was a different way that they would have interacted with us, and could have been trade. But they thought they were better than us, and so they colonized us instead and enslaved us.
Good morning. I think it's Samuel. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Good morning.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you've all spoken well. However, the question is, have we fared better since they left us, or we are worse?
That's a different conversation.
You know, it's just, if you look at it from every perspective, I decide to believe that it is a dual mandate. Whatever they've come to do, they benefited and we benefited. It's not just one-sided. But the question remains, when they left us many years ago, how have we fared? Have we progressed, or have we remained stagnant? So colonialism or colonization, to me, is a blessing in disguise.
Fair.
Because a lot of things were introduced that helped us today. Today we are talking about not killing twins. We are talking about medicine. Yes, it started in Egypt, but they developed it beyond where Egypt left it. They developed it. The church they brought to us. Today we are now the sole owners of churches.
What he can do for us?
So for me, it's a dual mandate. We both benefited. Thank you.
Mr. Samuel, please, can I say to Fia? I need to ask you, please. Have they left us? So, you know, he says they left. So, have they really left?
They have not left us. They are still.
I don't think people know that they have not
tied
left us.
to their apron string.
Have they benefited from us?
They have benefited immensely. They are still benefiting till tomorrow.
Did we have to enslave them or colonize them for them to
benefit?
Not
at all. Many of our natural resources today are being siphoned out for their own benefit still every day. If we remove our hands from their life, their economy, the so-called economy they think they have, will crumble because they have nothing to stand on. But before I say that, we have our ways. We had our ways before they came. And we had our methods, which were not like their methods. So because they had this superiority complex, they felt that their methods were superior. You know, they say, what you do not understand, you demonize. They came into our system. They saw, there was a quote done by one of their great leaders. It was circulating on social media after a while. They found it in one of the papers. And when they went back and they were having a deliberation in their, House of Lords and everything, they said, these people are very spiritual. They are very connected. They have strong moral values. The only way we can bring them down is to change their identity, to tell them, to confuse them in such a way that they will not know who they are. That's the only way we can penetrate them. And that was exactly what they did. Now you're saying that they did better for us by bringing this and bringing that. Do you know what it takes? Do you know how many decades it will take for you to shake off the shackles of colonialism? So we feel like we're not being colonized anymore. But in our mentality, we're still very colonized. Many of us are sitting down. We're looking towards a God that has the same color like the colonial masters. For instance, I'm just giving this as an instance. When your God, the God that you are praying to and you are worshiping, has the same appearance of your colonial masters, what does that tell your subconscious mind? Let's call a spade, that you're still inferior. Because if we had gone back to our spirituality, we had our gods, we had our spirituality. And from your gods is where you feel like you get your insight, your inspiration, your creativity. You are still on borrowed time with another God who looks like your colonial masters. In your mindset, you will always see them as superior. And that is what is happening to us. We need a re-engineering of our minds, starting from our leaders to our education, to where we are, and it will take us a number of years for us to begin to go back. Unfortunately, many people at the helm of affairs are still benefiting from the affiliations we have with them. So it's going to take a long haul. Okay. Don't sit down and blame us that we sold our own people. They use gun to collect our own people from us. Okay, let me go on a short break. When we come back, we'll try to drive this to a different angle. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.